Do you think he'd be willing to call into the show? Could we get him on the phone now?
I wasn't really expecting him to call this morning, to be honest. So when the phone rang and I was able to talk to him, I was frankly pretty grateful. I mean, as I said, I've known him since I was a teenager.
Well, it appears that the MAGA contingent went from quashing concerns over Trump's health to Mitch McConnell.
If it hadn't been for Mitch McConnell and the McConnell Center at the University of Louisville, I would never have been able to go to college. He's been my mentor and he changed the trajectory of my life. So, when things happen to him and happen to people in your life that you really care about, you just sort of naturally feel extremely worried. So when I heard his voice today and he was clearly keeping up with stuff, that made me happy to hear from him, because like everybody else, I've been, somewhat in the dark about it. But to hear him talking and to know that he's also talking to the Senate leadership, it made me pretty happy.
The MAGA media ecosphere, shall we say, has been driving a lot of the questions about where Mitch McConnell has been and what has happened to him. You, of course, are in tune with that in the role you have on your radio show. Do you think they should put out a picture of Mitch McConnell, that he should release more to the public to quiet this noise?
Yeah, I think Al had a good point about McConnell's general disposition towards privacy. I sometimes wonder, if I were laying in a hospital bed, would I want a bunch of people around photographing me? Probably not, particularly if I were an 84-year-old person who's normally private about his health. Probably not. But I take the criticism. I think it's a fair question about transparency. I think it's a fair question about whether they've done enough. But ultimately, these office holders, they're in charge of their own operations. And it may be somebody around him says, let's put out a picture, and he doesn't want to do it. I think that's a fair observation from Al. But all I can tell you today is all the rumors about him being dead or brain dead or, his body's being hidden somewhere. I've seen all kinds of crazy things on the internet. That's obviously not true, because he picked up the phone and called me, and that was a good thing.
All right. Well, let him know. Our phone lines are open here at the arena. Should he
Long-time listener,
should he wish
caller.
to call in, as someone who covered many of his Senate campaigns, not as many, of course, as Al Cross, but a couple. Al, thank you very much.
One thing you can say about Republicans is once they have a talking point, they sure stick with it. Stick with it so much so that it sounded like they were reading a script. Take it as you want. But everybody from the CNN conservative commentator Scott Jennings to the Republican Senator Barrasso talked about this lengthy, in-depth, detailed conversation they had with Mitch McConnell, who is still hospitalized. And two of them said it was exactly 20 minutes. I mean, Scott Jennings went through a list of what they talked about. Things like this nearby library and the Maine race. I mean, first of all, even if you were doing very well, but you were still in the hospital, I do not know why you would go into such an exhaustive, detailed conversation with somebody like Scott Jennings if you were Mitch McConnell. No, it was odd. It was odd the way they all framed it. So much so that Thomas Massie came out with his own post about how he had also talked to him and that Mitch McConnell gave him a list. And of course, the list was like all the things that Massie likes and none of the things that McConnell likes, just as a way of basically parodying it, because this is as if we are living a Saturday Night Live skit. I know I have said that so many times, but honestly, it's really close to it. Interestingly enough, Trump, who really doesn't mind lying at the drop of a hat, you could tell that he has no love lost for McConnell because, of course, McConnell almost did the right thing regarding the impeachment and conviction of Trump after January 6th. He could have been convicted and never been allowed to serve again, but Mitch McConnell basically, backed out at the last minute, but Trump's not going to forgive him. So he's also not going to lie for him. And when he was asked how McConnell was doing, his answer was basically, I don't know. Take a listen.
Have you spoken to Senator Mitch McConnell since his hospital?
No, I haven't.
How's he doing?
I have no idea. I have no idea how he's doing.
Now, interspersed with these talking points is we have Laura Loomer, the really extreme right person who's evidently very connected to the White House, and she says that he is clinically brain dead. At the same time, we have his wife putting out a statement saying the reason why she did not come back from China I mean, she had these high-level government meetings 3 days after he was hospitalized. And she puts out a statement saying the reason why she didn't come back was because his health didn't require it. Basically, it wasn't that serious. Now, he's been hospitalized for over 3 weeks. According to 911 audio calls, there was somebody at his house who had a cardiac arrest and had to have CPR. And then he's been hospitalized for weeks. So you either believe Laura Loomer that he's clinically brain dead, or his own wife, which is he wasn't even bad enough to come back on a trip for, or who knows, maybe somewhere in between. The fact of the matter is we have zero information about somebody who's representing the entire state of Kentucky. This is no small matter here. I mean, could you imagine a regular person having a regular job, just not show up for 3 weeks and not even call in sick, basically, or give any update on this condition? This is where we're at, folks, in America. We're the most dysfunctional governmental body in our country. Congress also seems to have zero rules, zero ethics, and at the same time, not really care about reporting to their boss, the American people.
On the McConnell thing, I also don't buy this either. If Scott Jennings and Thune and everybody else could have a 20-minute phone call with Mitch McConnell, he should be able to shoot a 60-second proof of life video to show us that he's okay. I think they know the deadline for a special election is August 3rd. If he's dead or if he's on a ventilator, if he's not able to do his job, he should resign right now. They should have a special election.
You have a lot of Senate Republicans coming out. We're going to just show some on screen, Isaac, all saying, I talked to him for 20 minutes. I talked to him for 45 minutes. We're hearing these pundits talk not just about his potential health, but what they think the issue is, a special election deadline.
Yeah, look, Adi, if you were hadn't been on air for 3 weeks and there was no answers where you had gone, probably CNN would be interested to know what was going on with you. Same thing.
Andy Beshear, the Democratic governor of Kentucky, sent a letter to the senator's office basically demanding answers. Should he call a special election to replace him or not? The irony is that what made headlines was a Republican answering a question honestly. Here we have in this context where his office is saying nothing, Republicans have a coordinated statement, and this Republican was asked point blank whether or not he knew whether or not McConnell was alive or not. And essentially he answered, I don't know. And that made headlines. This idea that somebody could admit the truth of the matter. Take a listen.
It's critical that we have a senator from Kentucky voting in the Senate chamber.
Do you know that he's alive?
I don't. Just the things that I've heard and seen from some friends is that he's obviously not doing well, but don't know if he's alive or has passed away.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.